Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about the resources of the American Rescue Plan, and we need it urgently. You and your family could travel coast to coast without a single tank of gas on board a high-speed train. Dogs may help cure cancer. Not a joke. Risk more cases and more deaths. Now, when President Harris and I took tailoring combat uniforms for women, creating maternity flight suits, we need to prevent the supply chain crisis from hitting in the first place. These millstones no longer mark our national mourning. These milestones, I should say, no longer mark our national mourning. Dr. Fauci assured me that COVID-19 vaccines were safe. We owe you an incredible debt. I've said for many years. Okay, where am I here? Let me see. I don't know, to be clear.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
I think it was one of the major contributors to the outcome.
Years from the 2016 election, and Hillary Clinton still can't accept the results. Take a listen.
You know, you can run the best campaign. You can be the person who gets the nomination. You could lose. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
This wasn't on the level.
Flashing videos that appear and then disappear, and they're on the dark web and nobody can find them.
It's like applying for a job and getting 66 million letters of recommendation and losing to a corrupt human tornado. So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again. So, of course, he's obsessed with me.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about the resources of the American Rescue Plan, and we need it urgently. You and your family could travel coast to coast without a single tank of gas on board a high-speed train. Dogs may help cure cancer. Not a joke. Risk more cases and more deaths. Now, when President Harris and I took tailoring combat uniforms for women, creating maternity flight suits, we need to prevent the supply chain crisis from hitting in the first place. These millstones no longer mark our national mourning. These milestones, I should say, no longer mark our national mourning. Dr. Fauci assured me that COVID-19 vaccines were safe. We owe you an incredible debt. I've said for many years. Okay, where am I here? Let me see. I don't know, to be clear.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. Once, a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Happy Friday. We did it. We made it. It actually felt like a pretty quick week until the Joe Biden speech, and then everything kind of slowed down a little bit. But we are here, and we have plenty to get to. I thought that Biden and his team, I thought they were going to pull him back a little bit after Thursday night. Or was it Thursday night?
Yeah, it only feels like it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it does. It feels like it was so long ago. I thought they were going to put him out there, and then we were going to get a nice reprieve for maybe a couple of months while he stoked the fire and took long naps. But it does seem that he's on a little bit of a kick. I don't know if they thought he did a really good job with the speech. The ratings would say otherwise. And by the way, we need to be very clear here. We need to give you the facts. And like Joe Biden, I have a love for the numbers, especially these numbers. TV ratings for presidential addresses. And I know most of you have heard this already, but I wanted to kick off the show with this because it's Friday and there's no shortage of good news on this Friday. All right, President Trump 2017, 48 million. President Trump 2018, 46 million. President Trump 2019, 46 million. 800,000, and President Trump 2020 around 37 million. President Biden 2021 11,600,000. It's not good. It's not good. And as Donald Trump Jr. put it pretty perfectly, he wrote but he's the most popular president in history.
Build back better.
Wink, wink. But yeah, so that was the ratings. They're saying that once they add in, the YouTube and whatever, it's going to add a couple million. I was on YouTube. I actually watched it on there. And I was keeping a pretty close eye on the different streams and how many people were watching. It was not in the millions. But if they want to give him an extra 3 million, that's fine. That's fine with me. He's not even going to reach, 20 million. So either way, what's done is done.
I'm pretty sure we're just waiting for the viewing ballots to roll in for the next week before we get to the actual number.
Exactly. 800 million people started tuning in at 3 a.m. the night of the speech. So we might hear about that later. But I don't know. Maybe they think he's doing a good job. The approval ratings for his speech from CNN were very low when you consider that the people who tend to watch these things are Democrats if it's a Democrat president, Republicans if it's a Republican president. So you're dealing with a friendly audience. It's like my audience here. I'm guessing that most of you, when you tweet me and say, Grace, you're doing a great job, it's a friendly audience. You want to like what I'm saying. And even with that being said, with this warm audience, as we call it in the biz, he only managed to get, I think from CNN, like a 51% or maybe it was 53% approval rating, which is lower than Donald Trump. And that's kind of amazing because Joe Biden ran on being a unifier and Donald Trump ran on being a renegade. So the fact that even Trump managed to poll better than Biden, and then you add in the fact that the media already fudges these polls as much as they possibly can, then that's another element. The reason I'm talking about this, because I know you guys are like, Grace, come on, you talked about this yesterday. But the reason I want to discuss this is because he's not done yet. He went out and he did, because the 100-day mark is historic. And it's a really good marker for, what you've accomplished thus far and what what the future holds in terms of your presidency. So President Biden did an interview with Craig Melvin from NBC, and we have clips of that. He also did a drive-in. It was in Atlanta, I believe, right, Jared?
Yes, with Reverend Dr. Senator Raphael Warnock.
All right, so he was up there, and the video, I know Howie always says, lead with your best sound, and I've come to realize that is excellent advice. But this, I have to kind of set up. It's not really sound that if you just hear it, you'll understand. So let me break this down for you. I never watched the show Black Mirror. I think I've seen one episode, but I have to imagine this is what the episodes were like. It was very surreal to watch. Joe Biden is out on stage at the podium with Jill. He looks like a wax figure. He looks like a robot. And he's out there and he's, giving his speech at this drive-in. I'm not sure if people were outside their cars. I'm sure there was a lot of honking. That's what tends to happen.
I'm sure they were in their cars with their masks on.
With the engine running, all those carbon emissions we're trying to kill. We're going to take away your hamburger, but you can keep your car running when you're watching Joe drone on and on. So he's up there and he finishes the speech and, oh yeah, it's wonderful. All these people, woo, beep, 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 beep. By the way, for those people, I'm worried about you. If that's what you're doing on a beautiful day in Atlanta is watching Joe Biden talk about climate change, but that's okay. To each their own. So everyone's beeping, honk, honk, beep, beep. And Joe wants to leave the podium and he can't find his mask. And this is where it gets, I would say this is where it gets interesting, but this is where it gets so, so sad. He can't find his mask. Now, this is a man who just the other day looked Peter Alexander in the eye. And when Peter said, if we don't have to wear masks outside, why did you wear one when walking out here? And he said, so you can watch me walk back in without one. In a kind of Fonzie type of, boom, comedian way that he does. It wasn't funny. It wasn't a good line, but whatever makes him feel good. He had his aviators on, so he was feeling kind of sassy. And he just said this the other day, that you can go out without your mask on. And since then, we've seen him picking dandelions outside with Dr. Jill with a mask on. And then he's at this outdoor drive-in rally. Again, beautiful day. Mask on. So he takes his mask off. He can't find it at the end of the speech. Rather than just walk away and maybe show America, hey, remember how I said that thing about not having to wear your masks? Well, I'm going to send a message. I'm not going to wear my mask outside like I told you could do 48 hours ago. Instead, he's determined. He's determined to find his mask. And he doesn't leave the podium. In fact, he just keeps looking. He goes through some of his folders, some of his binders. He starts screaming that he can't find a mask. Dr. Jill comes up. She starts looking through the binders. And eventually someone just hands them a mask. But I want to play this cut here. This is Joe Biden at the Georgia rally, cut 11.
Looking for my mask. I'm in trouble.
I'm looking for my mask. I'm in trouble.
He leaned into the microphone to say that.
Oh, of course, because it's such a good line. No one thinks Joe is funnier than Joe. He's the only person who finds themselves more hilarious than Joe Biden finds himself is Kamala Harris, because she gives herself some real laughs. But anyway, when I saw that video, I was like, wow, this administration is a mess. It's oh yeah. And the number one comment I saw from people was, he can't find his mask, and yet he's in charge of the nuclear codes. It's a scary thought. It's a Friday, so I'm choosing to kind of make a light of it because I'm just cruising into the weekend like all of you. But don't get me wrong, it's scary. And then the other thing I want to talk about, I wrote about this in my last piece. He says, I'm in trouble. And I just want one journalist, I'm not asking for people to be like gumshoe detectives and really, Bob Woodward this situation. I just want some of the basic questions to be asked. Is that so much to ask? I'm not saying everybody's going to be like Howie Carr and be, hey, and asking like the tough questions or, requesting FOIAs or anything like that. But when the guy keeps saying over and over again, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Can someone say, who are you going to be in trouble with, Joe? What is this trouble that you're so afraid of, and who is going to be the one getting you in it? I didn't go to journalism school. I don't think that's that hard. And then, speaking of journalism, we have plenty today for journalism in the news, by the way. I'm going to save it for another segment. But Craig Melvin did not disappoint. NBC is really, sometimes they get overlooked because of CNN and how bad CNN is. But NBC is, Lester Holt, Brian Williams, do not count them out because they are in this fake news game. Now, we will get to that. And then what I also want to tell you guys, this is what I'm most excited about. The speech happened, and I was kind of surprised because I was going on Twitter, and I will admit I have curated all my social media feeds to really be a lot of great conservative commentators. It keeps me sane. But even then, sometimes people will retweet, Andrea Mitchell or someone like that, and I didn't hear a lot of fawning praise. But someone, I think at Free Beacon, put together a montage of the stuff that people were saying about his speech. And oh my gosh, you guys, I know I say this a lot. It is cringeworthy. At one point, and this is how sad it is, I don't have to look up who these people are because I've been listening to them ad nauseum for 5 years now. So I just watch the speech and I know the voices. And one voice says, the grandfathery, whispery voice. And I go, Van Jones, how dare you? How dare you? It's really, really concerning. And it will make you want to puke. So that's my tease for this Friday afternoon. We have sound that will make you want to puke. We also have a lot to get to. We have a lot of great guests. Whenever I have a ton of topics I want to get to, but I also want to keep it light and fun, I always go to Chris DeGaulle because he's got a great sense of humor, but he has a real feel on all of these topics. So we will have him on later. We're going to keep the lines open for this hour because my question, as we talk about the media, this is going to be a day heavy in media. As we talk about the media and I talk about these journalists, I want to know. You get Joe Biden by himself, no handlers, for 5 minutes. What question do you ask him? I have a guest on the other side, but then after that, I'll be taking all of your questions for Joe Biden. Hotels, vets, dentists all have purchased multiple units of the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, which is why Eden Pure has brought back the 3-pack for this week only. You can save $200 on Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier 3-pack. You'll get 3 units for under $200 and save $200. I love the Eden Pure because when I cook in the house, whether it's steak or chicken, it gets rid of a lot of the smells. But Jared loves the Thunderstorm because he has allergies. And right now with the wind, I got to imagine the pollen's just going everywhere.
Oh, it's terrible. And this weekend is supposed to be especially bad. I just saw in one of the weather people. So if you have the seasonal allergies, you need to get the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. It's great. You plug it in. And what it does is it ionizes and cleans the air. It doesn't cover up odors. It actually purifies the air around you so you're breathing clean air, which is huge if you're somebody who has trouble breathing.
The Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier is so small and light you can hold it in your hand like I'm doing now and plug it right into the wall. The best part is you don't have to replace any air filters, which of course saves you time and money. Other air purifiers can cost up to $600 for just 1 unit. Go to EdenPure.com, click on the radio banner, and put in code word GRACE3 to save $200 for their special 3-pack. That's 3 Eden Pures. That means 1 for your kitchen, 1 for your car, 1 for your friend, whoever you want. EdenPure.com, radio banner, and code word GRACE3. The 3-pack is for this week only, so it ends very soon. We'll be back on the other side with Justin Manning, and then I'm taking your calls on what you want to ask President Joe Biden. This is The Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to The Grace Curley Show.
Wait a second. How did John Kerry vote on NAFTA?
Listen, outsourcing.
How did John Kerry vote on NAFTA?
NAFTA had to do with Mexico and Canada, not outsourcing of jobs to India. And the fact of the matter is, we give $12 billion in tax breaks to companies that outsource jobs to
What would
overseas.
What would you say about a corporation, a major American food producing corporation that has 57 factories outside the United States of America. What would you call that company? I'd call it H.J. Heinz.
I knew that was coming. Why do we have to attack a candidate's wife? Why can't we stick to the issues?
That's where his money comes from.
Oh.
He's a gigolo. I'm Howie Carr.
It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story about Trump being at Ernie Bach's.
It was my first real big event with Howie. I got to go and I got to sit at the table with Howie while he was interviewing Ernie Bach and all these people. And then when Trump showed up, I had told the audience the day before that I was going to try to get a selfie with him. But Trump came upstairs to this little clubhouse that Ernie Bach has, and it was so hot because there were so many people in there that he walked up, and all of these people I think thought they were going to get a picture with him or something. He walked up, he said hi to everyone, and he said, "It's so hot in here. Let's go outside and have some fun." And he left. Then I spent the rest of the event trying to get a photo, but it was really like the Beatles. No one could get near him. Everyone was just running around kind of in this mob, and he ended up getting up, making a great speech, and then he left.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. Which two words best describe the Biden administration?
Well, I feel, you know, families should be,
the rapidly rising I don't know.
First, any specific.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curly.
Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. I'm very excited to talk to Justin Manning from JJ Manning Auctioneers right now, because something that people have been talking about a lot is taxes on your income. But taxes also really affect the real estate market and how people buy and sell. Justin, thank you so much for joining the Grace Curley Show.
Hey, Grace, thank you for having me on, and you're on point with that. There's some looming changes to tax codes that are making people even get more aggressive, if it's possible, with buying and selling real estate right now.
Now, Justin, I'm a real estate complete newbie. I don't know a lot about it, but I think it's kind of good because I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there in their cars who feel the same way. Now, you tell me that Biden is pushing for a $500K limit on capital gains. Explain to people what that means and why people are selling so feverishly right now.
What it has to do with is a lot of the investors. Somebody might have a beautiful 2 or 3 family in and around the city and decide, hey, there's a really crappy one on the other side of the city, or 2 or 3 crappy ones on the other side of the city. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell this one, and I'm going to take the earnings I got from this, and I'm going to transfer them basically through a 1031 exchange and go buy these other crappy properties, fix them up, and get them in a position where now they're, good investment properties. It's almost like they're able to avoid a huge tax burden by almost trading real estate. But what it does is, one side might say, well, they're just ducking taxes, but the other side says it allows for development of properties to keep going on, and it makes it an incentive to the real estate developers to buy properties once they sell properties and then improve said properties. So it's going to kind of, once these tax codes get passed, it's going to stall some things that actually are helping the development that's been going on right now. So a lot of the shuffling going on right now is related to developers and real estate owners and investors trying to beat these policies to the punch and either take a smaller tax whack right now or do a quick 1031 exchange now, because later on it's almost going to make it not a desirable scenario for them.
And you also talk about the benefit of the auction right now because of how hot this market is. Kind of explain to people why they'd want to have an auctioneer instead of trying to go about this alone.
Right, and we get calls from Grace and Howie listeners all the time related to this, and they say, wait a minute, I don't even need a broker. I can sell it myself. And the point is, yes, any real estate can sell quickly right now in this market. However, the format and structure of the sale is important, and also making sure you didn't leave any money on the table is important. So those two things can be cured with the auction process, meaning that with the auction process, it is common and it is right in line with how it's done to sell it with no contingencies. And that means anything, Grace. You could have a cesspool instead of a septic system. That's going to be the buyer's responsibility. You could have a roof falling in. That's going to be the buyer's responsibility. You could have whatever the issues may or may not be. There's no contingencies in the sale, so there's a lot of certainty for a seller. And then beyond that, besides the no contingencies, right now, it's so hot. Everyone knows. Everyone's talking about this fever right now because it's the lowest inventory and the highest demand for single-family homes that we've ever seen in our lives. Well, when that happens, that is the perfect storm to have the most ideal real estate auction, because what ends up happening is everyone that wants that property shows up. Everyone is bidding on the same terms and level playing field, and the auction literally flushes out all the money. So at the end of an auction in a super hot market, you're guaranteed that you have truly identified what the market will pay for that asset. And it's a miraculous thing right now.
And you also mentioned, Justin, that usually there are 3 million to 7 million homes for sale in the U.S., but right now it's under 1 million. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
Well, I tell you, God bless the builders out there that are going gangbusters trying to build houses, and it's difficult, too, because the cost of construction is so high. So the builders are out there working their butts off to get houses up there. They're having a hard time because cost of construction is high. They're having a hard time because inventories are backed up. So they're the bad guys right now when they're really just trying to get houses up there as fast as they can for people. But we've never seen a moment like this, and it's like we didn't know what COVID was going to do. And one of the things COVID did is it got people to decide where they want to be for the foreseeable future.
Justin, what is your number if people want to reach you?
Call my man Charlie Gill at 800-521-0111 or visit jjmanning.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin Manning. We'll be right back on the other side. It's the Grace Curley Show. It's been a long and lonely lockdown, especially for people like me who love to travel out and about. But now that vaccinations and spring are here, why not kick off the travel season and kick back on Southern Airways to beautiful nearby Nantucket Island? From Norwood, New Bedford, Providence, and now Hanscom Airfield, just west of Boston. You'll feel like a rock star and be in Nantucket in less than 40 minutes. Book your Nantucket getaway today at iflysouthern.com. That's iflysouthern.com. Or call 800-329-0485. All moms love turtles, especially when they're Phillips chocolate turtles. Made with rich, smooth caramel, hand-roasted pecans, cashews, or almonds, then topped with a generous dollop of mouth-watering milk or dark chocolate. A tried and true Mother's Day tradition since 1925, and now you can order Phillips chocolate online just in time for Mother's Day. Go to phillipschocolate.com. Use code GRACE and receive 10% off, or visit the store at 818 Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester. Go to phillipschocolate.com and use code GRACE. You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
We have an ethical problem revolving around one of our congressmen, Barney Frank. Well, Barney answered an ad some years back in the newspaper called the Washington Blade. Here's what it said. Exceptionally good-looking, personable, muscular athlete is available. Hot bottom plus large endowment equals a great time, and it's signed Greg.
Well, Barney answered the ad. They had sex. After they had sex a few times, Barney said he decided to hire this fellow, Hot Bottom, as a consultant, and that he was going to try to rehabilitate him. Barney said he paid him $20,000. He neglected to get Hot Bottom's Social Security number, apparently.
But he did come forward and admit he made a mistake in trying to...
His exact words were, "I was suckered." An unfortunate choice of words, I think we all agree.
Okay, boys and girls, gather round. It's story time with Grace Curley. Tell me the story of the missing makeup brush.
When I first started working for Howie, I was in sales with the mailroom manager. And one time I bought this really expensive makeup brush. Working for Howie, it was like my first real paycheck. So I went out and bought this super expensive brush. And when I was driving around with the mailroom manager, we go all over New England making sales. I lost it. I thought I lost it in her car. And, I asked her, I said, "Hey, have you seen my makeup brush?" And she was kind of like, "No, I haven't seen it. I'm sure it'll turn up." But I was really determined to find it. And I kept saying, like, "No, you got to check again. You got to check again." I eventually found it in my own car under the seat. But she still remembers thinking, this girl is wacky about her makeup.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curley.
I'm kind of the Grinch when it comes to almost any private event of any kind. The guy who stole Thanksgiving, the guy who stole Christmas, the guy who stole New Year's, the guy who stole every holiday you can think of. As we head into yet another holiday weekend in our back-to-school season, people really need to wear face coverings, not share food, not share drink, and take this stuff seriously. If you have a friend or a neighbor who's been traveling out of state, you're probably better off not watching the Patriots game on Sunday with them. Then a whole bunch of people say to me, "Why don't you just cancel Halloween?" Outdoor trick-or-treating, done with small groups, face coverings, and limited interaction is actually a lot safer. Made everybody build, chutes for candy for Halloween. I actually built one myself. I thought it was pretty cool. Thought I might spend a minute talking about Thanksgiving. But there's just no way around it. The holidays have to look and feel different this year. Don't share food or drink. And if necessary, open windows to allow for ventilation.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. All right. Without further ado, I've been getting some complaints that we haven't been doing enough journalism in the news, mostly because people like the little song that goes with it. So, let's do a little journalism in the news.
And now, news.
Very fake news.
I see a lot of excellent journalism being done.
Give me the press.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the press?
He said that journalists make up stories and make up sources.
As a journalist, I don't really like being the story here.
Very fake news.
And many of your compatriots had to change the reporting, and they had to apologize, and they had to correct.
This is a golden age of journalism in a lot of ways.
Mr. Biden, what flavor did you get?
News.
Like I said, journalists, they tell us all the time that democracy dies in darkness. They cloak themselves. I saw this today somewhere, so I can't take credit, but they cloak themselves in, truth and really being the defenders of our democracy. And so it makes sense that when Craig Melvin of NBC gets the chance to sit down with the President of the United States and potentially the president who has accomplished the most radical moves in his first 100 days in history, it makes sense that this is at top of his mind.
That the first family was considering adopting a cat.
Oh, yes, and that is true.
Can you confirm that?
He's waiting in the wings. She is waiting in the wings.
Was this your idea, Mr. President?
No, but it's easy.
So let me get this straight. Major Biden, who's clearly had some trouble adjusting to life at the White House, now he's going to be forced to contend with a cat as well.
Well, that was part of his training. They took him into a shelter with cats.
The Secret Service.
Yeah, and he did fine.
You remember when Jimmy Fallon, who is a comedic late night host, using that term very loosely, touched Donald Trump's hair and he was eviscerated by the left because they thought he humanized Trump too much. He was a late night TV show host. Now, this is a journalist, a reporter for NBC. While there's a crisis at the border, we're still not getting back to normal from Mr. President Normalcy. And he asks about the cat. Where's the question about whether or not Joe likes pineapple on his pizza like Jen Psaki does? These are the questions we need to know. And that actually brings us to our poll question. Today's poll question is brought to you by Old New England Soap. Old New England Soap makes the best woodwick soy candles that burn for up to 100 hours, as well as goat milk soaps, bath bombs, and now offering gift sets for Mother's Day and any occasion. Go to oldnewenglandsoap.com. Jared Diglio, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far?
What should the Bidens name the first cat? Aviator, after Joe's favorite glasses. Chip, after Joe's favorite ice cream, chocolate chip. Dandelion, after Joe's photo yesterday. Or Sergeant, keeping with their rough and tumble military theme.
I really like Chip, because when I think Joe Biden, all I think about is the pictures of him eating chocolate chip ice cream. I like Chip.
Chip is polling at 24%. Aviator is polling at 19%. 5% for Sergeant, and Dandelion is in the lead at 52%.
Ooh, did not expect that. Okay, so my question for the listeners, because on Fridays I really do like to take a lot of calls. I like to hear what you guys think. After we've gotten this much Biden in 3 days, this is the most I've heard him talk in a long time. I've noticed that the press doesn't ask any sort of, not even tough questions, just any sort of common sense questions, like when are you going to the border, things like that. And I want to know, you're alone in a room with Joe Biden, no handlers, none of those people who go, excuse me, Peter, please keep it moving, thank you. It's just you and Joe. And maybe a camera, because I'd want to see the footage. What do you ask him? What's your question? Have you thought about it? So my dad texts me all the time after he watches these press briefings. And he loves Peter Doocy. He thinks he does a great job. But sometimes my dad will come up with a really good question. He's like, you know what Peter Doocy should ask him? Or you know what Peter Doocy should ask Jen Psaki? And I want to know what you guys think, because I want to get some feedback. Maybe I'll use it in a column. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not above stealing it. But I have so many questions for Joe. And I want to know what you guys want to ask him as well. Now, something I do want to talk about here a little bit as well is the media, because they were fawning over this speech. I kind of thought once he got in that they would rein it back a little bit, just for optics' sake. You know what I mean? It's a little bit embarrassing at this point. It's like we know you love him, It's like that girl who gets a boyfriend and spends the whole dinner talking about how sweet he is and he's so good to me and he sends me flowers and he just showers me with chocolates and gifts. It's like we get it. You like him, That's the media right now. They're like, oh, he's not just good. He's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. It's like, you got what you wanted, but stop trying to sell him like he's JFK Part 2, okay? Because no one is buying that. Not even people who voted for him and don't regret voting for him. Even they're like, they're in their mindset, he's not Donald Trump. That's his greatest quality. But in the media's mindset, it's like, no, we have to convince people that he is the second coming, that he is the greatest thing ever. I want you to listen to this cut. If you're driving, pull over because it might make you very angry. This is the media fawning over Biden's lackluster, stumbling address to Congress, cut 14.
His use of voice modulation was rather extraordinary given the television era, and it served as cover at times for unspooling an ambition in this speech that was Rooseveltian in size and scope.
Pause. I'm going to keep pausing, and I'm going to guess who it is. You can confirm for me or deny. That was Brian Williams, obviously.
Yes. Rooseveltian.
Rooseveltian. Ugh.
That like tie tragically?
These people have no shame. Have you no shame? All right, keep going.
It was really beautiful. I mean, it was beautiful. He's developing a kind of positive populism.
He also talked. Pause there. That was Van Jones. Thank you. I'm good, guys. I'm very good at this. Okay, continue.
About the soul of America, and that was so passionate when he talked about the injustice. The knee of injustice is on the neck of Black America.
His connections to the...
Obviously, without question, as Howie Carr would say, and I'll never say her name without thinking of his voice, that is Andrea Mitchell. Right again.
People in this room, I'm not even sure if all of them are deserving of them, but he does not care. He gives to them the benefit of the doubt.
And his voice.
They talk about him like he's Jesus Christ. Some of the people aren't worthy, and that was Nicole Wallace. Some of the people are not worthy of these handshakes, but he gives. He is turning water into wine. And he's so giving. He really is. Nicole Wallace needs help. Now. Oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to get so fired up. Hold on, let me take a deep breath here. All right, continue.
The doubt?
And his voice, that
Van
kind
Jones.
of grandfatherly, whispery voice, and the fact that it actually wasn't a big raucous crowd, let that intimacy really land.
Van Jones just said that grandfatherly, whispery voice. I don't know where to go from here. Because Jared knows
To
this.
the bar.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Directly to the bar and chug some McConnell's Irish whiskey.
Listen, everybody, if you know me, by the time Friday comes, I am like so ready for my cocktail. But with these cuts, I am beyond ready. That to me, the fact that they're so out of touch, and here's why. They're naming the things that really drive regular Americans the most crazy. Like everyone who called up yesterday said, I hate his whispery voice. I hate the fake grandfather act he's doing. I hate the folksy, come here, you little tyke. I gotta look you in the eye. Like, they don't understand what people like. Is there more? Oh, okay, keep going.
Every single sentence had a very clear point to it, and every line of it had that Biden humility in it.
He's real.
Lawrence O'Donnell. Oh,
stop the hammering.
Lawrence O'Donnell. He had a real problem with Howie Carr because he thought he figured out that Howie Carr wasn't actually from Boston, even though Howie Carr talks about how he's from Maine all the time. But Larry O'Donnell didn't like that.
The original bombshell report on Howard Carr.
I forget Lawrence O'Donnell is on the air. That is how little he comes across my feed. But thanks to Jared, here he is again. All right, continue.
And he's really trying to bring the country together. It was a Make America Feel Good night.
Ooh, that one might stump me. Can you give me the network?
ABC.
Can you rewind a little bit? I want to hear it again. Make America Feel Good night.
Humility in it.
He's really trying to bring the country together. It was a Make America Feel Good night.
Ooh. I'm blanking.
She backs up George Stephanopoulos on This Week.
I don't know. Who is it?
Martha Raddatz.
Oh, Martha Raddatz. I should have known from that shaky voice. Did not get that one, huh? I was stumped.
That's all right. You still had a very solid performance.
What can I say? The most obnoxious people I know. Carl, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Carl.
Hey, Grace, how you doing?
Good. What's going on?
If I was in a room with Joe Biden, I'd ask him what his plans are for the mental health crisis here in the United States. I really don't hear any politicians talking about it. And as a parent with a child that has mental health issues,
Do we lose you, Carl? Carl,
then,
say that last part again. We lost you for a minute.
Oh, sorry. The only thing they want to do in the hospitals is medicate everybody and just hand them pills. They don't really have any steps to help these people to, adapt to their problems and learning coping skills.
Right.
I'd like to know what Joe Biden's thoughts are on that, because his son is an addict. A lot of addicts today, suffer from depression. They can't afford the medication, so they turn to street drugs like heroin and stuff because it's cheaper. And I never hear him talking about it, and I'd like to know what he would think.
Yeah, Carl, I think that's a great question, and I appreciate the fact that the first caller actually had a real question, because I thought we were going to get... And I'm not discouraging anyone who wants to call in with some joke questions, because I would love that too, but that's a really good question. And I think there's a huge stigma with mental health. There always has been. I don't think it's something that gets talked about enough. I think that's a really good point, and that would actually be something where Joe Biden, like Carl said, could speak to it intimately. He knows what it's like to have kids who suffer from mental health issues, so he could actually speak to that. That's a very good point. When we get back on the other side, I'm going to take more of your calls. The question is, you get Joe Biden in a room alone for 5 minutes. What do you ask him? And then when he comes out with a long story about how his father used to look up at the ceiling and and in Delaware and coal mining, well, how do you get him back on track? You need to have a question that when he gets off track, you can really point it, like a pointed question with a yes or no answer. That's what we want. We'll be back on the other side, 844-500-4242. We're taking calls for the rest of the hour. Don't miss out. This is The Grace Curley Show.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curly.
This hour of The Grace Curley Show is brought to you by Covfefe Coffee, making coffee great again. From the MAGA Dark Roast to their Drain the Swamp Medium Roast, Covfefe Coffee has it all. To order today, go to doyoukofefe.com.
It's a new year and time for a new you. DiStefano Hair Restoration changed my life, and they can change yours too. My production director said when he saw a recent pic of me that, "You look great, like Benjamin Button. You're getting younger." That's quite the compliment, and I owe it to DiStefano Hair Restoration and Dr. Chris Hines. Many wait years before they get the hair restoration they deserve. Stop waiting and just get it done. You won't regret it, and you'll ask yourself, why did you wait so long? You can see my before and after photo shoot on their site at hairman.com. Hairman.com. DiStefano Hair Restoration is taking all the necessary precautions to keep you safe during your visit. They also offer virtual consultations. Go to hairman.com today and schedule your free consultation and get the hair you deserve and have always wanted. Dr. Hines took care of me, and he'll take care of you too. Visit them today at hairman.com.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great, but Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why do gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
Everyone knows I love coffee and I'm not giving it up. I know that it would keep me up from time to time, but no longer with Balance 7. Balance 7 is a clear mineral liquid that you take 3 times a day to break down the acid in your body. When it does this, you'll feel better, and I sleep better. Often I'm asked to try products and I can be very skeptical on their claims. But with Balance 7, it was all 100% true. With Balance 7, I didn't feel my energy starting to flag as the day wore on, because by sleeping better at night, it also gave me mental clarity during the day. Balance 7 is a highly alkalizing concentrate. That means it reduces the acids that have built up in your body. Balance 7 is also known for reducing acid reflux and heartburn as it did for the mailroom manager. Balance 7 is made of safe, all-natural ingredients. If you suffer from heartburn, acid reflux, or sleep issues, you should give Balance 7 a try. Order the 8-ounce 12-pack supply at balance7.com. Put in code word Howie. You will save $10 and you'll also get free shipping. Balance7.com.
Grace Curley. She's working for you.
I'm like Bette Midler and For the Boys. Gotta keep the troops entertained.
Looking for my mask. I'm in trouble.
Here in River City, with a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool. We've surely got trouble. Right here in River City. Gotta figure out a way to keep the young ones moral after school.
Joe Biden is making his mark. He was on the Today Show. We're going to go through his entire Today Show interview. I know that sounds bad, but we got it in short. It's bite size. All right, guys, that's how we handle this. We do bite size little nuggets so you can hear what you need to know before you go into the weekend. But we're not going to play you long cuts of him because we are not cruel. Let's go to Dan. Dan, you're next with Grace. Go ahead, Dan.
How you doing, Grace? When you listen for the last as many years as I've listened to the media, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
I remember with the media in the media room, they're screaming and yelling, and everybody's cutting in front of other person to try to get a question in, and screaming and yelling at the president. I mean, like a circus.
Yeah.
And 2 and 3 and 4 part questions, not little lobbers. You know what I mean? We're talking about, why have you been in collusion with Russia?
Right. Why have you? No, it's like this, Dan. Why have you been in collusion with Russia? Why do you hate America so much? Why do you betray all of the people in this country? And why do you hate dogs? And then they'll say, "Go ahead, answer that." That's the kind of questions they used to ask Trump.
Well, the difficult questions, the complex questions, the trip-up questions. I mean, let's face it, Biden can't handle a 1-part question, never mind a 2 or a 3-part question. And the toughest one you really want to lob at him is, what is he going to do with the dog and cat while he's away from the White House? I mean, you can't, it's almost like how you treat your feeble grandfather.
Yeah.
You know that he's failing, but you don't want to hurt his feelings, and you just try to keep propping him up to make the guy feel good and worthy and all of that.
And that's why when he answers a question and it doesn't make any sense, and, Peter Alexander asked it, if you go back and watch the video, Peter Alexander's nodding along with a big smile on his face, just like Dan said. He's like, come on, Grandpa, you got it. Look at you go. Oh, wow, nailed that one. You're my hero. It's really sad. And Dan, thank you for the call. I'm going to move on to Chris here just so we can get him in before the end of the hour. Chris, go ahead. You're next with Grace. Go ahead, Chris.
I
if I was alone with President Biden, I'd sit him down and I'd ask him, Mr. President, could you tell me what drugs they give you before they let you go out into the public?
Great question. Great question. The handlers would be banging on the doors. Get him out of there. And here's the part of it. I'm going to read from this a little bit later, but it's a great piece in the Federalist, and it talks about how he's had this incredibly radical agenda for the first 100 days. And I want people to remember this, because I read this and I thought, that's a great point. Biden only captured the White House by less than 43,000 votes across 3 states, with the Senate evenly divided and the House narrowly controlled by the same party. In other words, the American public by no means demanded a fundamental transformation of their country, but that's what they're getting. Half the country feels the same way we do.
The entirety of their party didn't want Kamala Harris, but they got her, and now they're just doing it to all of us.
Exactly. We'll be back on the other side. We'll take more of your calls, and then we got Chris DeGaulle at 1:30. It's Friday, and we have a wonderful show planned for all of you. Don't go anywhere.
What are you craving for dinner tonight? How about a mini break? Forget grocery store crowds. Forget sitting in traffic trying to figure out what's in the fridge or what you feel like eating or how to make that. Let HelloFresh handle all the shopping and meal planning for you. All you have to do is choose from over 25 chef-created recipes every week. Vegetarian, carb smart, one pan, family friendly, all up to you. Soon there will be a HelloFresh box on your doorstep, delivered contact-free. It will be filled with fresh, pre-portioned ingredients sourced directly from growers and easy-to-follow recipe cards that, in as little as 20 minutes, will become restaurant-quality meals. And best of all, it's 28% cheaper than your local grocery store. It just makes sense, so you could relax, because thanks to HelloFresh, giving yourself a break is back on the table. Go to HelloFresh.com/Howie12 and use code Howie12 to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Howie12, code Howie12.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon, when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it.
All right, here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Now Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying. Hitler was a Christian. Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Did you have tanning lotion on,
A little. I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor. Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape. I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. Right here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Jane Swift is an embarrassment to working mothers everywhere.
Howie Carr, Boston Herald columnist and radio hitman.
She rushed home the night before Thanksgiving. What is the worst night of the year to drive? Worst of all, she goes on TV after the story broke, and she says,
"My challenges to be a good mother and a good lieutenant governor are different than any other working person."
But given the nature of Boston politics, using a state helicopter is not among the worst offenses politicians have committed.
Compared to putting a blonde in the pond.
Howie Carr's delicate description of Chappaquiddick.
Politics around here ain't beanbag. You know, if you step into the arena, you've got to stand by and prepare for a beating.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal.
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Welcome back to the Grace Curley Show. I was just thinking, I talked a little bit in the last hour about how small the margin was of Joe Biden's victory and how it really was not a resounding yes for all of his socialist ideas. In fact, I think a lot of people were hoping he would be moderate Joe. If you've been paying even any sort of attention, you knew that wasn't going to happen. I mean, you absolutely had a feeling this guy was going to be radical. I was impressed with how quickly he got into it. I thought he kind of boiled a frog and have a nice, slow, steady start. But he got after it, as Chris Cuomo would say. And it got me thinking because there's a lot of Democrats out there, I'm sure you guys know plenty of them, who can afford to vote. I call them limousine liberals, but they can afford to vote with their hearts. You know, they can afford to vote for who they like more and who they can talk to their friends at the country club or, you know, at school pickup and say, oh, I couldn't stomach voting for Donald Trump. But those people who are on, like, who maybe voted for Trump the first time and then got so much flack from their friends who turned and ended up voting for Joe Biden, they didn't vote for his policies, especially not the ones that he's putting in right now, because a lot of this stuff is going to hurt those limousine liberals. A lot of these policies are going to really impact kind of middle class America. And when they go to the gas stations, they still got to fill up their tanks. But it's funny to me because they voted for the idea. They voted for the man. Okay, they voted for Joe. It was really a vote for anyone but Trump. So they voted for this guy who feels, you know, who cries, who whispers. They voted for the whisperer because it made them feel good. But if you wrote down the stuff that Joe Biden is implementing, whether it's his disastrous handling of the border or anything else, saying that kids should probably be back in school, that kind of rhetoric where it's like he's the president of the United States and he's like, yeah, they probably should be back. Maybe, I don't know. You have to be thinking to yourself, I should have voted for the policies over the person. Because it's like anything else in life. You can have a friend who's fabulous, who you love to go out with, who you think is the most fun and, oh, such a nice guy. He's the greatest. It doesn't mean that you'd employ him. It doesn't mean you want him to be the head of a company. It just means you don't mind having a beer with him. He's cool, you know? He's kind of crazy. He's that crazy friend. But they let their feelings and their, I don't know, it's the weakness. The people that can afford to vote, not based off their wallets, but can just be like, oh, I just want, he's bringing dogs back into the White House and he loves chocolate chip ice cream. Well, this is what you get. You get a complete mess. That's what you voted for. And I love how every time someone brings something up and complains on Twitter, other people will retweet it and say, this is your guy. You voted for him. You wanted this. If you didn't look into who he was going to hire and all of his policies, that's sheer laziness. And this is your fault. So don't come crying at me when you're filling up your car and it's expensive. I would take Trump, and people like Greg Gutfeld have said this from the beginning. They said, don't go based off his tweets. Don't go based off what he says. I mean, I'm a Trump fan, so I kind of got a kick out of his tweets and what he said. But I know some people don't like his style. Don't go based off that. Just go based off what he does. If you can do that, if you're adult enough to kind of compartmentalize his personality versus his policies, then you would understand why we were in such a better spot with him. But now we're stuck with Joe Biden, who won't even decide how he feels about schools opening. He has said out loud to a young child at a town hall that kids have a very, very, very low rate of getting this virus or transmitting it. But he can't even come out and say, listen, from the bully pulpit and say, we're opening up schools. He's so weak. And I'm not mad at Joe. I'm not mad at Joe because I don't think he even knows what's going on. I'm mad at the Americans in the middle who let their feelings get in the way of a great president. And now we're stuck with, let me get cut 4. This is what we're stuck with.
It's a small precaution to take that has a profound impact. It's a patriotic responsibility, for God's sake.
Talking about wearing a mask. And let's hear a little bit about his take on science and the CDC cut 8.
Kids in K through 12 schools obviously are not going to be able to get the vaccine by the fall. Should all schools in this country be open this fall for 5 day a week in-person learning regardless?
Based on the science and the CDC, they should probably all be open. There's not overwhelming evidence that there's much of a transmission among these people, young people.
Yeah, we know. That's why Ron DeSantis has had schools open for months now. We know that. We get it. If I was, Jared, I'm 28. I don't have any kids yet, but if I was in my 30s and I was a mom and I had a bunch of little kids who were stuck home or worse, going to school with these masks on their face, I would be out of my ever-loving mind. I would be the mom at the city council meeting screaming into the microphone. I would be. I know it because it's all so insane. And I want to mention here, there was an interesting shift. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina, he gave an incredible rebuttal to Joe Biden. And he said, we're not a racist country. And if you follow the Democrats, that is one of their favorite talking points, is how racist we are. In fact, they talk about how awful of a country we are so much that China decided they would use it against us and say, hey, don't talk to us about human rights problems. You guys got your own fish to fry over there. You got your own issues. That's how often they use it in campaigning and fundraising emails. That's how comfortable they are with this rhetoric that we're bad. And Tim Scott, who I love, flipped it on its head. And he said, we're not racist. And as it was pointed out in that piece I was reading before, a good portion of this country agrees with Tim Scott. Don't forget that. Don't forget that there's a lot of Americans out there who voted for Donald Trump, who think this is the greatest country in the world and who think that these Democrats are ruining it. So then I noticed that Kamala goes out the next day. And their internal polling must be, it must look like after a Major has an accident on the rug. That's all I'm going to say. It must be totally brutal.
Love your dog.
We love your dogs. Because Kamala Harris did an interview and she was asked if she thought we were, I don't know if it was fundamentally racist or if we're a racist country. I don't know how it was phrased. But she said, no, we're not. But even her saying, no, we're not was a change. Because for a long time, it was like that was their main selling point. We are so racist. We are the most racist. If you watch Joy Reid, it's like racism is everywhere. Everywhere. I read an article the other day that said the air was racist. I didn't click on it, obviously. I don't want to lose brain cells, but everything is racist. But Kamala had a shift, and then I see this cut. Cut 2.
I watched the speech last night. I watched the address, and then I watched The rebuttal from the junior senator of South Carolina last night, Tim Scott, he said, among other things, America isn't racist. Is it?
No, I don't think the American people are racist. But I think after 400 years, African Americans have been left in a position where they are so far behind the 8 ball in terms of education, health.
I love this situation because now they're all saying no. Oh, no. They know they're going to get wiped out in 2022 as far as the elections go. So now they're trying to reverse it. But it's a beautiful thing to hear the same guy who calls voting laws that require IDs Jim Crow, who also did, I think, a eulogy for the late Senator Byrd. Do I have that right?
Yes, the exalted cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan.
And who also had a huge part in the crime bills that ended up with so much mass incarceration in the black communities. I find it amazing now to hear him on TV explaining to a black reporter that the comments from a black senator about how America was not racist, how they were wrong. He's going to explain to you how, no, we are. It's crazy town USA. And I know it gets brought up a lot about the tolerant left. You know, people say that sarcastically, but I've never seen them prove themselves to be so intolerant. Tim Scott goes out and says, you know, I face a lot of hate from these woke liberals. These tolerant liberals give me a really hard time. And then they're all sitting there going, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, Tim Scott. Wait till we react to this speech. It's like, it's insane to me. We'll be back on the other side. I see you guys lined up. We will take your calls, 844-500-4242. And you know who else has given Tim Scott some tips on how to understand how racist America is? Get this. Joy Behar, who wore blackface for a Halloween party, and Jimmy Kimmel, who wore blackface for a comedy sketch. These are the two people the left has come out with to explain to Senator Tim Scott, whose family went from cotton to Congress in one generation, why he doesn't understand racism. It's almost, you couldn't make it up. It's Babylon Bee. The world has become Babylon Bee headlines. It's good for me, though. It really is. It makes the show pretty easy. 844-500-4242. We'll be back. We'll play you guys some more of this sound. Really unbelievable stuff. And we have Chris DeGaulle coming up at 1:30. Don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
You can call her late for dinner. Just don't call her Gracie. It's the Grace Curley Show.
Between the news, appointment TV, and endless scrolling on our phones, we're looking at screens more than ever. But how do you rest your eyes without feeling totally unplugged? By putting in a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds and listening to something great. Whether you're listening to your favorite podcast, binging an audiobook, or working out to a pumped-up playlist, Raycons are built to perform anywhere and anytime with water and sweat-resistant construction and seamless Bluetooth pairing. There are no dangling wires or white stems to worry about. Raycons offer a comfortable in-ear fit for a more discreet look in a variety of colorways for maximum style. And with 6 hours of playtime, you can unplug for a while. The best part? Raycon wireless earbuds start at half the price of the other premium audio brands, so you can pick up a pair and a spare. Right now, get 15% off Raycons at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buy, B-U-Y, Raycon.com/Howie for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. buyraycon.com/Howie.
200 moms, dads, sons, daughters, grandparents who are no longer with us.
I think it's up to 30,000 people have died.
Over 600,000 dead, 600,000+ people.
60,000.
660. We're in the middle of a pandemic that had cost us more than 85,000 jobs, lives of millions of people. Now we have over 120 million dead from COVID. 200 million people have died. 205 million people, 1,000 people. 210,000 people have died. 4 million existing billion, 500,000 50,000. A class of 25, you end up having 2 classes of 12, for example. But you know, in the 2020 census, which is now 2 censuses ago, the Oval, back in May 9, 2019, a $15 million, $15,000, $15 minimum wage. I got to the Senate 180 years ago.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, here it is. The official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
She's got the voice of an angel.
I've been called the songbird of my generation, of people who've heard me.
It's Grace Curley.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm feeling this Friday. It's gorgeous out. Spring is here. And Tim Scott is making the left lose their minds. Honestly, if Joy Behar and Jimmy Kimmel keep this up, they're going to make Tim Scott our next president, and I'm totally fine with that. Today's poll question is brought to you by Old New England Soap. Old New England Soap makes the best Woodwick soy candles that burn for up to 100 hours, as well as goat milk soaps, bath bombs, and now offering gift sets for Mother's Day and any occasion. Mother's Day is coming up very, very soon, so do not wait. Go to oldnewenglandsoap.com. It's old, O-L-D-E. Jared, what is the poll question, and what are the results thus far?
What should the Bidens name the first cat? Aviator, after Joe's favorite glasses. Chip, after Joe's favorite ice cream, chocolate chip. Dandelion, or Sergeant.
I'm a fan of short names for pets, so I'm going to say Chip.
Chip is tied with Aviator at 19%. Dandelion still in the lead at 45% and 17% for Sergeant.
Interesting. Tony, you're next with Grace on the Grace Curley Show. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, yes. Hi, Grace. I want to tell you I love your show, listen to it all the time. But a little earlier, you were after one single yes-no questions you could have given Joe during his great interview there.
Yes.
My question to him would be when he had the response about not knowing about Giuliani and the FBI raid and everything, not knowing until everyone else. My word. I would have followed up with, Joe, is that the same my word as your Hunter, Burisma, and Russia? I don't know.
See, and Tony, that's the kind of stuff. It's those kind of minds that have the quick responses. I know that there's reporters out there who think it. They have to be able to think on their feet. They have to have those questions ready, but they just don't want to. It's like I always say this. When they want to do something, when they want to investigate something, when they want to be tough, they can turn into hyenas. I wrote all about this for Spectator. I'll tweet it out again today. But these press people, the transition from watching them go from formerly serious journalists to rabid, crazy people, unhinged lunatics during the Trump administration, back to these docile cheerleaders who are just, holding Joe's hand as he walks along the White House lawn. It's embarrassing for them. That's my question for the media. Aren't you embarrassed? How do you get up? How do you look yourself in the mirror every day? Thank you for the call, Tony.
Aren't you embarrassed?
Aren't you embarrassed? I ask that all the time. Thank you for the call, Tony. Keep listening to the show. Mike from Maine, you're next with Grace. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thanks for taking my call, Joy. I forgot your name, or I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yes. my brain is short-circuiting. Okay, first of all, just a quick comment, which I think sums it up. When I see Sniffer Joe, I think of the movie Weekend at Bernie's, which, of course, Joe being Bernie, propping him up. I think the guy passed away years ago and doesn't know it yet. And I think if God himself appeared to this guy, his first words would be, "Hey, man, where's your mask?"
I know. It's crazy. He really does. And I encourage everyone to go watch that video on Twitter, Mike, because watching it feels... You feel like you're in an alternate universe. I mean, he's yelling into the microphone, "I forgot my mask! I forgot my mask!" And he's outside. He's outside.
Looking for my mask. I'm in trouble.
He's in trouble yet again. Aren't you always in trouble, Joe? It's really weird. And there was a lot of things he said during that interview that could have used follow-ups, but this is why he's doing these now, is because he knows he's not going to get any pushback, let alone from Craig Melvin. Let's play a couple more of these. Now, I'm curious about this answer, because this is what I keep asking today. Why is he wearing a mask outside? Well, here's the answer, cut 3.
CDC guidance this week about outdoor mask wearing. A lot of folks excited that they can now shed these masks if they've been double vaccinated. Are you going to be one of these folks now? Are we no longer going to see the President of the United States outside with a mask on?
Sure. I mean, but what I'm going to do, though, because the likelihood of my being able to be outside and people not come up to me is not very, very high. So it's like, look, you...
Wait a second. Do you guys remember his rallies? I'm using that term super loosely. What is it? He thinks he's the Beatles? Like what, he's Justin Bieber? People are going to swarm him? He had about 7 people at his things. He had about 40 people watching his address on YouTube. I'm nervous for him. What is happening? He thinks he's going to get swarmed by the paparazzi? I'm sorry, Jerry. Keep playing it.
You and I took our masks off when I came in because look at the distance we are. But if we were, in fact, sitting there talking to one another close, I'd have my mask on and I bet you'd have a mask, even though we've both been vaccinated. And so it's a small...
This is what he does. I'm saying this and you do that. And none of this makes any sense. But here we are. All right, we'll be back with Chris Stegall. I cannot wait to break this down with him. Don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
You have a choice for rubbish removal. When I'm on the Cape, my choice is Nauset Disposal. With dump stickers, spring cleaning, and pay-as-you-throw, you can't beat Nauset Disposal. Nauset Disposal has affordable trash and recycling programs that not only save you money, but give you the time to enjoy the summer with your family. Nauset Disposal, cleaning and greening from Duxbury to Provincetown. Go to NausetDisposal.com. That's NausetDisposal.com. Tell them the trash man sent you.
This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. If you're looking to get your gun license, we've added tons of LTC classes, including ladies only and couples classes. Plus, visit us any Tuesday for free gun rentals on the range. Don't forget to listen to Rapid Fire every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on WXDK or on the iHeart Radio app. We'll be talking everything guns, freedom, and self-defense, sponsored by Vortex Optics. So go to CapeGunworks.com and check it out.
I'm kind of the Grinch when it comes to almost any private event of any kind. The guy who stole Thanksgiving, the guy who stole Christmas, the guy who stole New Year's, the guy who stole every holiday you can think of. Please don't host big New Year's gatherings. And if you do anything, try to do it outside and make it brief. And I really think if you're going to watch the game, and I hope everybody has a chance to do that, if you're going to be with anybody else, I know this sounds a little ridiculous, but you should probably try to keep your distance. You should probably wear a mask, and you certainly shouldn't share food or drink with those folks, because that's just asking for trouble. Long periods of time indoors in close quarters with shared food with people who aren't of your immediate household is just risky behavior. The single biggest spike we've had in Massachusetts since the summer was Thanksgiving. They really ought to spend their holidays with what I would describe as the people who are part of their most intimate circle.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com. Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus. I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again. We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that. I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey everybody, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
There's a group of about 10 people outside of work that represent the entire universe of the community that I've spent time with and my wife has spent time with since March.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power, and the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
We spent time with about 10 people, period. We have a lot of friends we have not seen for months, and we don't know when we will see them. There are lots of people we haven't seen in like forever.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world, but it's the only world they know.
Those are the rules in this game that we all need to play by.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
My wife and my circle.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
But in April alone, Mr. President, 170,000 people, migrants, apprehended at the border. It's a 20-year record. There are 22,000 unaccompanied children in our country right now. That's a record. That sounds to most folks like a crisis.
Well, look, it's way down now. We've now gotten control.
Is that also his word as a Biden? He loves numbers.
No joke.
He loves numbers until they're not going in the way he wants them to. And then he's like, oh no, it's way, way down. Please elaborate, good sir. What does that mean? Way, way down. The Border Patrol agents would beg to differ. They would beg to differ.
Well, give them 5 days. They'll get rid of those guys.
Yeah, I saw that comment too. Someone said abolish ICE, and he said, just give me 5 days.
Yep.
I don't even know if he would know what he meant by that, so I'm not even going to get into that one. All right, so you guys know this. On Fridays, I love to keep it light, keep it fun, give you guys a nice little upbeat show before you head into your weekend. But I did have to cover all this nonsense. I mean, the liberal left is being terrible to Tim Scott. The treatment he is getting is reprehensible. Then we have Joe Biden kind of really going on a lot of different platforms. I mean, he did the rally in Atlanta. He did the Today Show hit. And then he's obviously coming off of that highly watched speech. 11.5 million people tuned in. They were glued to their TV screens. And so I wanted to cover all this, but I needed somebody who could do it in a fun way. And there's no guest I love to have on more than Chris Stegall. Chris has his own podcast, which I highly recommend you guys check out, The Chris Stegall Show. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. Chris, thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, it is so good to talk to you on a Friday, Grace. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Chris. Now, first, let's start from the beginning, okay? What did you think of Biden's speech?
What did I think of Biden's speech? It's all such silliness, isn't it? I can't get. Look, Grace. Here's the deal. I'm Joe Biden all of a sudden. See what I've done?
I do that, Chris. I do that all the time, and I hate myself. And I also say, "Let me be really clear," and then I'm like, "Oh my God, Grace, you got to stop." What am I going to be whispering to the audience next?
Yeah. Well, let me be clear. Have you know today? I think just yesterday in an interview, Biden also did. I found out about it just watching cable like you. He did exactly what Obama used to say. I found out about it just like you.
Yeah.
They always find out about it just like us. The most powerful men in the world always find out about stuff just like us. That's always unsettling, and I don't believe it. But anyway, I can't get past the week leading up to Wednesday night's speech, which was all over the map, and you talked a little about it. I can't get I talked with the White House correspondent for Newsmax this week, and I begged her, and she said she's going to ask this next week on my behalf.
Emerald Robinson.
The movement. Emerald, thank you.
Yes.
Emerald, I begged her. I said, would you ask what is the movement of this president? Why is there always such oddity in the way in which he moves? And what do I mean by that? And most people don't pay attention to this, and I understand that it's not a big deal. It wouldn't sound like a big deal. There's been a pool report this week that says Joe Biden landed like Monday on Marine One on the White House lawn, as they do, and that he and Jill got off Marine One and an SUV picked them up and drove them the few feet to the White House door. And then the mask announcement day, he comes out this new door in the White House we've never seen, and he walks down this long wheelchair ramp for what seems to be like a football field's walk by himself in a mask, where he takes it off and makes the announcement, you can take off the mask. By the joint address, he's got the mask back on again. Then he goes down to Georgia, and he can't find the mask, and then he's got to get the mask on, and there's this cautious walking, and Jill's holding his hand. I just want to know, is this a Visiting Angels audition? The Visiting Angels spot? Jill looks like she's a wet nurse, not his wife. And I need to know why when they travel, she's always at his side. I don't think the man's well.
No, I don't either.
Before we talk about anything else?
I agree with you, and I say that all the time, and I say it. I say it seriously because I don't want people to think that we think it's that it's a joking matter. I mean, he is the leader of the free world, and there does seem to be a lot of cognitive decline. But I agree with you. The movement does seem strange. And then, Chris, when he gave that address, I started thinking about when Donald Trump used to give these addresses and how kind of nervous I would be. I mean, I'm not a fair and balanced reporter. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm very open about that. Sure. But I would get a little nervous because I'm like, I really hope. I know how critical they were, and I just was thinking, I hope he delivers. I can't imagine if I was a supporter of President Biden, if I was like, let's say, Andrea Mitchell, how nervous these people must be watching him walk up to that stage and take the mic. They must be like on pins and needles for what's going to come out of his mouth.
I suspect you're right, although if you listen to them after, I mean, everybody from Van Jones to Andrea Mitchell to, the whole crew at CNN, they were gushing. Yeah. And you know why? And here's the thing, Grace. You understand this. Your audience understands this. We're smart. We get it by now. What he proposed was some of the most radical stuff we've ever heard to date from any Democrat, ever. It was more radical than anything that ever came out of Barack Obama's mouth, except Barack Obama could have never said it. Joe Biden can, and that's the reason he's here. Joe Biden is that avuncular, grandfatherly character, and if you listen to the critiques from the left on that speech, they all said the same thing. He's so nice. Isn't he sweet? Isn't he gentle? He reminds me of my grandfather. And that is meant to be his greatest asset and attribute, that he whispers, Grace, listen to me. God love you. Honestly, I'm serious. That's supposed to make you, enchanted with socialism.
No, exactly. And that's what I always say. I said this before you came on, Chris. I was like, all these people who are normal people who I know who voted for Joe Biden, they have to fill up their gas tanks. They have to, deal with these taxes. But they voted so that they could feel good because Biden cares and Biden cries. Now, meanwhile, Rome is burning. The borders are, totally overflowing. There's the schools are still shut down. Everything's a disaster, but at least when they go to bed at night, they go, oh, but he's so sweet. Isn't he the sweetest thing? I'm like, what good does it do you? Sometimes the most successful people in the world aren't there because they were so nice to everybody and they made everybody feel good.
Yeah, that's right. And he picked a dandelion for Jill, and isn't that sweet? Now, you probably heard today. Here's how the news reports this. Again, I'm sorry. I don't mean to, zero in on this, but this is a deal for me now, Grace. I'm on this like white on rice. Can I say that, or is that racist?
I think you can still say that.
Okay. Maybe I should have said brown rice, but I don't know. That's appropriation or something. But my point is, you're hearing this news report today. President Biden traveling to Philadelphia. Have you heard that report a few times today?
Yes.
He's traveling to Philadelphia to talk about Amtrak. Do you know why? Do you know why his headquarters were in Philadelphia? Do you know why he's traveling to Philadelphia and why he always will often travel to Philadelphia?
I don't.
There's a reason. Wilmington, Delaware is 20 miles down the highway, which is where he's going when he's done today, which is where he goes every weekend, and nobody talks about that. He and Jill don't stay at the White House. They keep coming back to Delaware every week, almost every single weekend since he's been elected. Quote, elected, air quotes.
So are you saying that Major isn't the only one who's having a hard time adjusting to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
Look, I don't know what goes on. All I know is Joe Biden travels to Philadelphia. The only reason he's traveling to Philadelphia, it's the closest thing to his house slippers. And I just want to know why. You've got the White House. You've got the biggest, best house in the country. Why are you coming home to Wilmington? I mean, Wilmington's fine, I guess, but really? Almost every weekend? What is going on there? Am I wrong to be curious about that, Grace?
No, you're not. You're not. I actually think those are really good questions, and they're going to try really, really hard to not give you any answers. I'm speaking with Chris DeGaulle. You guys should check out his podcast. Chris, one of your podcasts that came out recently that I really enjoyed, you talked a lot about the CDC and about how President Biden has explained that vaccinated people could be maskless outside in small groups. Now I know you're like me. You're always walking around kind of trying to observe what the current is outside. And I've noticed, at least here in Massachusetts, which guaranteed is crazy land, but I've noticed that people still, even with the ruling of our great leader, Joe Biden, they still have the masks on.
I had this amazing dinner last night with a guy who's a conservative, a self-identified conservative. And I don't know him well, but I hadn't seen him since the pandemic kind of started over a year ago. And this is the first time I'd seen him in person. And I asked him about it and what he thought about it. And he admitted to me, Grace, something that kind of blew my mind. Because, again, Trump voter, conservative guy. And he said to me, Chris, I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. When this thing started, I was terrified.
Oh,
terrified. I said, I was like, talk to me. What do you mean? He said, I locked myself in my house. The only time I left was to go grocery shopping. I was one of those guys that when I brought the groceries home, I wiped them down. I let them sit out for a day. I was scared out of my mind. He said I had to shut off all the media. He went to a therapist. He admitted all this stuff to me, and I'm not shaming him about it. It just occurred to me that this is a Republican voter. And I thought, wow, we really have our work cut out for us, Grace. This is not just some sort of left-wing Karen ha-ha thing. I think there was a good chunk of this country, not just Democrats, who had the ever-loving crap scared out of them about this thing, and it's a long walk back from that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, and I think there's been some people who have pointed out that it would be good for all of us to show people a little bit of grace, like your friend. And I can just tell by the way you described it that you did just that. But there are people who were really, I don't want to say suckered into it, because of course people died, and of course it's real if you're part of a vulnerable population or you have comorbidities. But there were a lot of people who let the media turn this into something in their minds that it just wasn't. And I agree with you. I think we have a long way to go as far as breaking people out of this mindset. They're walking around with these masks, and it doesn't seem to be because they're following the rules anymore. It seems to be because they like it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's and again, I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm making fun. I actually am not making fun, but I have known some people that have grown up, through their teen years and maybe even into college, that are still carrying around something they slept with as a small child. Maybe a blanket or a ratty old stuffed animal or something. It sort of makes you think it's that.
It's a security blanket.
Security blanket. It's an odd Linus blanket.
Yes.
They can't, and it's a show of solidarity, and I think for bureaucrats it's a sign of control and submission. Daniel Horowitz said it's the modern-day burqa, which, pretty aggressive, but it's interesting because if you've had your vaccine and people are still wearing it, you say, why are you still wearing that if you had the vaccine? And now it's this allegiance to it. Well, I don't want to spread it to other people. Fauci's put it in people's heads that once they have the vaccine, they could still transmit it unknowingly to others. So now it's just become an article of faith.
Right.
Even if they'll never get sick again, they're just going to wear it as a pledge of allegiance to Fauci. I pledge allegiance to the Fauci of the United States of America.
Chris, you know what I saw the other day?
It's eerie.
I saw on social media somebody commented, I'm going to keep my mask on outside because I don't want anyone to confuse me with being a Republican. And I thought to myself, no one's going to confuse you as a Republican.
No.
We got it. We understand.
You and your many, 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 many cats, undoubtedly.
Speaking of that, do you think did you hear the I'm not a cat person, so I take no offense, but did you hear the interview with Craig Melvin where he was, the first question out of the gate? And Chris, this was a question I talked a lot about with my listeners about today, because I said, if you got Joe Biden alone for 5 minutes and no handlers, no one shooing you out of the room, what would you ask him? And Craig Melvin's first question was about Major the dog, because this is the state of our media in 2021. But Chris, what would you ask Joe? Like a real question if you could get him on the spot.
Oh, my gosh, that's a big one. What would I ask him? I think I'd say, what would I ask him if I had him on the spot? You can stop the border right now. Why won't you do it?
Yeah.
Would probably be the most immediate urgency in my mind would probably be the first question I'd ask, which is the border situation, the terrible, terrible situation at the border. You can stop this. Why aren't you doing it? I think would probably be that statement of fact.
I think that's a great one, and you can really, and that's, I was telling my audience, I said the key is, because my dad sends me questions all the time, and they're always really pointed, like the key is you don't want to give them any wiggle room. You want to be able to keep drilling them back to the question. Answer the question. It's like a courtroom scene.
Yes.
Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Right. Or why do you refuse to, on any given moment of any given day, stay on the same message with masking? Why do you continue to confuse people about masking?
Right.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
Question. So anyway, great talking to you, Grace.
Chris, where can people follow you on Twitter? Because you have a great feed on Twitter.
Well, thank you. It's at Chris Stigall, ChrisStigall. I'd love to have you aboard, or go to ChrisStigall.com. I'm linked up to everything there, the podcast, the whole shooting match.
The podcast is awesome. Keep it up, Chris. Thank you very much for joining the show. Guys, I'm going to open up the phone lines. I want your take on what Chris and I just talked about, whether you want to talk about Tim Scott's speech, Biden on the Today Show. We got more sound of that. And I also want to discuss a little bit about what's happening with Seattle police officers. I don't know if you've seen the story, but they're leaving in droves. And it's no surprise if you've been following what's happening there. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's The Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to The Grace Curley Show.
This hour of The Grace Curley Show is brought to you by Lakes Cosmetic Institute in Guilford, New Hampshire. I can't say enough great things about my Botox treatment that I got at Lakes Cosmetics. Go to lakescosmetic.com. Your experts in beauty enhancement. That's lakescosmetic.com.
As this year of COVID draws to a close, it's time to make sure your portfolio is ready for whatever happens next. Kevin Frisbee and the team at Frisbee & Associates are ready to help you. It's called the 100-100 Challenge. If you have $100,000 saved for retirement and come in for that no-cost, no-obligation consultation, you'll walk out with $100 cash. That's right, $100 just to let Kevin do a portfolio x-ray and see what might be hiding in your current plan. Call now for your no-cost or obligation consultation, and you could walk out with $100 cash. Call 800-989-9100. That's 800-989-9100. Kevin is a true fiduciary. That means by law, he's always working in your best interest. And be sure and catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon for a market review and tips on creating the retirement of your dreams. Call Kevin Frisbee today, 800-989-9100. That's 800-989-9100.
First-time call for me. I'm very disappointed today to see Mr. Carr on there. I find it despicable that this man is on today. I read him, and I keep hoping that one of these days he's going to have something really good journalism, but I find it hard to believe that it'll ever happen.
Guilty as charged, Howie Carr?
I think not. My job as a columnist is to sell newspapers. I mean, obviously, I'm selling a lot of newspapers if women like her are picking it up, even though they find me despicable, as she put it.
Do you find that people feel strongly about what you write?
I think they do. They do tend to feel strongly because I try to write what people are thinking. I guess in some ways I don't observe some journalistic conventions of politeness.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
It's story time with Grace Curley. What do you think was the funniest moment of the Howie Carr Show?
The funniest moment of the Howie Carr Show for me was when we were doing the death pool and someone called up and Howie said, "You're next on the Howie Carr Show. Who do you want for the death pool?" And the person said, "Howie Carr." And Howie said, "Yep, that's me. Okay, who do you want for the death pool?" And the person said, "Howie Carr." And Howie again said, "That's my name." And I was just back here crying, laughing in the green room, just realizing that this person was trying to put Howie in the death pool, and he just didn't understand it was happening. And then finally, when he figured it out, he said, "That plays, put it on the list." And it was just, I don't know, I still think about that sometimes.
Catch all of Grace Curley's stories weekdays right before Howie from 12 to 3 on The Grace Curley Show. And follow Grace on Twitter at G_Curley.
This is The Grace Curley Show.
I say this a lot, but as much as I would take Trump being president over show content any day of the week. You guys know that. And twice on Sunday. But I have to say, the material is just never ending. John Kerry, according to Fox News, invested in oil companies prior to becoming Biden's climate envoy, financial disclosures show. What's next? What, is he going to fly in a private plane? Does this guy have no shame? And they asked him, actually, Jared, why he invested in these oil companies. And he had an answer.
It's the only choice for somebody like me.
I'm sure it is, my good man. Also, another story I wanted to talk about. If you guys want to call in about that, I know John Kerry gets the people going. That's totally fine. But did you see this story about what's happening at SNL? They're having Elon Musk, the CEO, creator, founder of Tesla. I don't know what he's high up on there, and he's one of the richest people in the world. They're having him host SNL. And he tweeted it out at one point and said, we'll see how live SNL really is. And some of the cast members were offended. One of the cast members started posting about how, the richest people in the world own more wealth than you guys know the statistics and how awful it is, how much money he has. And now I'm just reading a story where it says, listen to how losery this is. SNL cast won't be forced to appear with controversial host Elon Musk. Well, no one is forced to watch it, and that is the best thing of all. Elon Musk, say what you want about him. I personally like him. I think he's a free thinker. I'm all about that. But he can turn something that has zero potential, like an SNL, into a huge success. He can get eyeballs watching the show. But the woke cast at SNL, they're like Don Lemon. They don't care about ratings. They care about virtue signaling. We'll be back on the other side. We'll keep the phone lines open. We got one more hour on this Friday. We're going to make it good, guys. It's the Grace Curley Show.
It's a new year and time for a new you. DiStefano Hair Restoration changed my life, and they can change yours too. My production director said when he saw a recent pic of me that, you look great, like Benjamin Button. You're getting younger. That's quite the compliment, and I owe it to DiStefano Hair Restoration and Dr. Chris Hines. Many wait years before they get the hair restoration they deserve. Stop waiting and just get it done. You won't regret it, and you'll ask yourself, why did you wait so long? You can see my before and after photo shoot on their site at hairman.com. Hairman.com. DiStefano Hair Restoration is taking all the necessary precautions to keep you safe during your visit. They also offer virtual consultations. Go to hairman.com today and schedule your free consultation and get the hair you deserve and have always wanted. Dr. Hines took care of me and he'll take care of you too. Visit them today at hairman.com.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent?
It's not because they didn't work as hard.
Or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment. Of course not.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
Come on, man.
Everyone knows I love coffee and I'm not giving it up. I know that it would keep me up from time to time, but no longer with Balance 7. Balance 7 is a clear mineral liquid that you take 3 times a day to break down the acid in your body. When it does this, you'll feel better, and me, I sleep better. Often I'm asked to try products, and I can be very skeptical on their claims. But with Balance 7, it was all 100% true. With Balance 7, I didn't feel my energy starting to flag as the day wore on, because by sleeping better at night, it also gave me mental clarity during the day. Balance 7 is a highly alkalizing concentrate. That means it reduces the acids that have built up in your body. Balance 7 is also known for reducing acid reflux and heartburn as it did for the mailroom manager. Balance 7 is made of safe, all-natural ingredients. If you suffer from heartburn, acid reflux, or sleep issues, you should give Balance 7 a try. Order the 8-ounce 12-pack supply at balance7.com. Put in code word Howie. You will save $10 and you'll also get free shipping. Balance7.com.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent?
It's not because they didn't work as hard.
Or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment. Of course not.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
Come on, man.
I think if we do the things we've done and we need to continue to do, playing by the rules, wearing face coverings, socially distancing wherever we can, it will make whatever we choose to do in the winter a heck of a lot easier to pull off. If people would just wear these things religiously for 30 days, we could kill the virus. Religiously wear them for 30 days. And if people abide by these very simple rules and concepts, it can allow us to keep everything open. And it can give us the kind of holiday season that I think everybody is hoping for. There is hope on the horizon, but we need to work really hard to get from where we are to there. This is not forever. This is once, one time, 1 month, 1 year. The path back to something that looks a little more like normal is just around the corner. A few more months is right there in front of us. People need to keep doing what they've been doing for the better part of the past year.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you, you've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeatsradio.com. www.superbeatsradio.com.
What deal can we have, Crazy Nancy?
The Constitution does not say that a person can shout wolf in a crowded theater.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. Chocolate, candy, chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. Consistently practice social distancing.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her.
That was kind of sharp.
I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, I had a hard time getting my ears pierced. I'm not a big needle taker.
Mother Earth is angry. She's telling us.
What do you think is causing this erratic behavior?
I think that the president...
She's the Boston Herald's wittiest wordsmith, the last woman standing at the Whiskey Priest. Once a very legitimate magazine that we definitely didn't make up named her the Michael Jordan of radio. Wait, don't you think we're laying it on a little thick here, Grace?
Just stick to the script.
Oh, okay. Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio, it's the Grace Curley Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. It's Friday, and we've had a strong week of shows, if I do say so myself. A lot of great guests have graced us with their presence, and I'll be posting all those interviews later on my Twitter account. But for now, for this last half hour, I want to open up the phone lines and take some calls. I have some good news to report, and I think it's always nice to share some good news on a Friday. GOP-controlled Florida. The horror. That explains why everything's going so wrong there, Jared. Have you heard about all the people who are leaving Florida for New York? It's an exodus. Did I
stole my line?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Great minds.
It's a complete exodus. It's so scary. Florida cannot keep people there.
Those Republicans are pouncing on New York.
GOP-controlled Florida legislature approves elections overhaul social media crackdown. Florida lawmakers worked into the night Thursday to approve a pair of Governor Ron DeSantis' top priorities: new limits on mail ballots and drop boxes, along with fresh sanctions on social media platforms. I'm more interested in the elections overhaul because I think it's important that it's something I hear a lot. Now that I have this platform, people will say to me when I'm out, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I try to get a sense of how people feel. And the thing that people keep coming back to is that everyone was okay stomaching presidents they didn't necessarily like. Guaranteed, no one thus far has been as radical as Joe Biden. I would even say Obama didn't even. And I think Chris DeGaulle hit the nail on the head. Obama knew enough to play the progressive hand very quietly. You know, he was boiling the frog. That's an expression I really like because, you know, you turn around and the whole country's transformed, but he was doing it slowly. Joe Biden doesn't feel like he needs to do that. In fact, he's fighting the clock, so he's just throwing everything out there. But you were fine with it. There's always that expression, you know, the Republicans, after Trump loses, they boycott by all going to work the next day, whatever. But for most Republicans, it's fine. You know, you accept it, you move on. But I think the part of this election that makes it very difficult for people, especially when you're looking forward, is that people don't have faith in the integrity of the elections anymore. And that really does change the game. Because if you don't think that you can win, then you can get really depressed. And I don't want people to feel that way because there are changes that can be made. And Florida is a great example of that. The legislation, which requires voters wanting a mail ballot after next year's elections to make the request before every general election, once signed in by DeSantis. It also restricts drop boxes to early voting sites during their hours of operation or to an elections supervisor's office, and they have to be supervised by an election staffer. Racism. Exactly. I mean, it's the most racist thing. This is Jim Crow 2.0 on steroids. This cannot stand. No, that's good news. That's good news. And then in other news, this is good news, but it's weird. Okay? Andrew Cuomo, and I know this broke yesterday, but I've heard so many people mentioning it. Cuomo hopeful for full reopening of New York before July 1st. Literally everything back to normal. That's what Andrew Cuomo said. And that's great. I'm not poo-pooing anyone getting back to normal. I don't care, Jared. I don't want to say I told you so to these governors. I do say it. I mean, I'm on for 3 hours every weekday from 12 to 3. I say it a lot. So does Jared. But I don't want them to do the Charlie Baker route, which is there's Howie and I have different ways of expressing this, but I'm going to use his first. I think it's a Bob Dylan line. Waist deep in the big muddy, the big man says to push on. In other words, you're so far in and you feel like you can't turn it around. That's Charlie Baker. He's said these rules over and over and over and over again, and now he feels like he'll look foolish if he backtracks. I use the expression, it's from that movie, I think it was, Jared, is it called 1917? Is that the movie?
The World War I?
Yes. There's a scene in it where the whole movie they're trying to get to this this battalion and basically tell them you don't need to rush in to fight. Don't send out the troops. And a guy tells one of the young soldiers, hey, the whole movie's the journey on the way there. But he tells him, he says, make sure when you tell the lieutenant or the sergeant or whoever it is, make sure when you deliver the news, there's other guys around. Because some men just like to fight. In other words, some people get so hot off their own steam that they're like, oh, we got to fight. Like, we're here now. And I think that that's what it is with a lot of these governors. They've stuck their foot down so many times. They've been stamping it and telling people, this is the only way. You'll see, I'm right. And now that we have the Ron DeSantis's of the world who are showing there's a different way to go, these people, their pride, they just have to fight. And their fight is this mask war. And it's ridiculous, but that's what I think it is. I think they can't admit defeat. They can't admit that it's over.
Waist deep in the big muddy is Pete Seeger, not Bob Dylan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But with Cuomo, something else happened. Because here's the difference between Cuomo and Baker. I think Cuomo's waist deep. That's his mentality too. You know, we got to keep going. But all of these scandals have made him kind of panic. So now he's desperate. You know, he's King Cuomo. Suddenly there's a revolt. Everybody's got their pitchforks. And he's like, listen. Oh, things are going to change. Whatever you guys want. Please. Just let me be, please. And he's opening up everything. He's like, oh, I heard him yesterday on the TV. He starts going, I want to open Rochester Tuesday. And I want to open New York City Wednesday. He was doing one of his, like, you know, weird, supposed to be funny speeches. And I just kind of find this amazing because there's a big difference right now between what the governors are doing, both blue and red at this point. A lot of the blue governors are just doing it to save their own behinds because I'm sure the polling is rough.
Between red and blue.
Thank you, Bruce. Between red and blue. He's got a little bit of that grandfathery whisper. There's a big difference between what the governors are doing and what the federal government is telling us. Joe Biden being the face of the federal government, as scary as that is. So Governor Andrew Cuomo says he's hopeful that New York can fully reopen earlier than July 1st, the date Mayor Bill de Blasio pitched for the city's lifting of restrictions. Now they're racing each other. At first it was like, I'm going to shut this down and that down. And then some other politician would come in and say, no, I'm going to shut everything down. And you have to wear 3 masks. And now it's the opposite. Now it's like, I want to open on Tuesday. I want to open on Monday. We can't wait till Tuesday. It's just all so phony, you know? And it just shows you what we've all been thinking all along. This is all theater. It's all theater. It's so sad. And it's sad that so many restaurants and small businesses had to suffer so that they could all play this virtue signaling game, because the stakes for a lot of people were very high, even though, you know, the Joy Reids of the world. I loved how I read a piece once by Carol Markowitz, and she said the pajama class, and she admitted like she's part of the pajama class because she's a writer and she can write from home on a laptop. But I thought that was a great way of putting it, because it's this group of people who spent quarantine in their pajamas, getting their Uber Eats delivered, writing their little blogs. There's nothing wrong with that, but we can as a society survive off of that. We need people out and about. Restaurants need the nightlife. They need young people going to the bars and hopping from one to the other. We got to open up. And every single time Joe gets out there and goes, I can't find my mask, it does hurt. It does hurt the cause, because he's making people nervous. And he's feeding into this mentality that we all need to wear masks for the rest of our lives. And you know who's to blame for all of it, Jared? Donald J. Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't even worry about it, okay? Because while Joe's picking dandelions, he's also telling reporters that this is all Trump's fault. All right, hotels, vets, dentists all have purchased multiple units of the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, which is why Eden Pure has brought back the 3-pack for this week only. You can save $200 for an Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier 3-pack. You'll get 3 units for under $200 and save $200. That means you can have one in your kitchen, one in your basement, one in your car, maybe give one to a friend. This 3-pack is a really incredible deal. But you need to understand what the Thunderstorm does. Right, Jared?
Right. So this is not an air freshener. It's not an air odor coverer. This is actually a purifier. What it does is it purifies the air that you're breathing, because it ionizes the air, and it changes to the oxygen changes to a breathable, clean oxygen, and that's huge, especially if you're somebody who has seasonal allergies, because this season has been terrible. And the 3-pack is the way to go, because like Grace said, you can keep one in your car, and that's what I've started doing, because even the walk from the car to the building it's treacherous.
It truly is. It's tragical.
It's, yes.
What was the Biden word we like?
Tragic. Tragically.
Not only does it really work, it works in hours. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is so small and light that you can hold it in your hand and plug it right into the wall. The best part is you don't have to replace any air filters, which can be a real pain, so that saves you time and money. Other air purifiers can cost up to $600 for just one unit. They're usually super bulky and not that great to look at. This one is small. I'm going to hold it up for the YouTube. Look how small that is. You just plug it right into the wall. Go to EdenPure.com, click on the radio banner, and put in code word GRACE3 to save $200 for their special 3-pack. That's EdenPure.com, radio banner, and code word GRACE3. The 3-pack is for this week only, so I would hop on this today. I don't know if it's midnight or what time it ends, but I would definitely get on this deal today. When we get back, we're going to talk to one of our favorite clients here, one of our favorite sponsors, and I want to talk about small businesses. I talk about it a lot. I talk about how I'm trying not to buy stuff from Amazon, but sometimes you do it, like you buy something off, or you go to a small business and you purchase something, and you might feel good, but I want to know how much it actually helps. And I want to know how much Amazon is actually hurting these companies. And so we're going to talk to the owner of Covfefe Coffee, making coffee great again. And then at 2:30, we got producer's pick. So there's still a lot more show to go. Don't go anywhere. It's the Grace Curley Show.
The Grace Curley Show will be right back.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Ken's Place in Scarborough, Maine. Stop by today and have one of my favorite world-famous batter-dipped fried clams. They are the best in the world. That's Ken's Place on Route 9 in Scarborough, Maine.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
You ever noticed how Charlie Baker's becoming very recognizable these days?
I think that the most important thing we need to do at this point in time is recognize the importance of recognizing and understanding, which is why we recognize and understand that in addition to recognizing the investments, and we absolutely recognize and understand that every one of these decisions, folks in law enforcement can incorporate recognizing and understanding issues like that into the way they engage with people, focusing on recognizing spending money, because we recognize that many people in public life recognize or appreciate. Recognizing and understanding that there's more than one way to recognize and understand. We all have to continue to recognize and understand, be smart and recognize and understand, and start thinking about it as a game that recognizes and understands that for people to continue to recognize and understand that.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of the
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can also see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
Wearing a tiara when I came in here, because if you happen upon it, will you have Lady Pennyface retrieve it and send it post hence?
She's the epitome of class, style, and sophistication. She's Grace Curley.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. There's something I noticed. There was a shift in our culture where people used to really prefer that celebrities or companies kind of stayed out of politics. And then that quickly changed. And suddenly you weren't just punished if your consumers thought you were conservative. But what we're kind of seeing is you're punished if you're not active enough as a liberal. You're punished if you don't sign on to stop certain voting laws. Delta's weighing in. Coca-Cola's weighing in. And it's something that always makes me laugh is that I always think, well, conservatives buy stuff too. We saw that with Coca-Cola. I think their sales dropped 37%. There's a lot of conservatives out there who want to buy stuff from companies that don't hate their guts. That might sound dramatic, but it's true. They really do. They don't like you. I want to tell you that one more time. They don't like you. I like you, though. And there's a company that does like you, and it's Covfefe Coffee. I'm talking to Paul right now from Covfefe. Paul, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
So, Paul, you guys took a really different approach. I've checked out your website before. You're very open about the fact that you supported Donald Trump. You still support his policies and what he stands for. What has the reaction been from consumers?
Consumers have been there the whole entire time, and things have really ramped up ever since Chase WePay the payment was a payment processor on our website. We had used them for about 2 years or so with no issues, and then one day we just got an email saying that, hey, we're going to terminate your account, and if you got any money with us, we're going to just keep it too. And from there, there was some media exposure, and when that first happened, we had more sales almost really in 1 week's time than we did in the previous year. I mean, it's just been going gangbusters. People have finally having a company that actually represents them on the market versus either corporations that absolutely hate your guts or the grifters out there that'll take your money and then stab you in the back in the dark. That is not us.
Now, Paul, something that I always think of, because since around Christmas time, not to virtue signal here, but I haven't bought anything off Amazon. I don't want to support Jeff Bezos. I don't think they need any more of my money. But sometimes people do fall into, well, it's just so much easier to order all my stuff off Amazon. And, one person not ordering off Amazon isn't going to really help any small businesses. But what is the impact when people start reaching out to other companies and using other products that they're not getting, that are not, from Jeff Bezos, from Amazon, from big tech?
Well, it just kind of causes a ripple, and I mean, we're in uncharted territories as conservatives, where we're not standing around. The times of us standing around kicking rocks and just hands in our pockets. Well, I wish someone would come and help us. I wish someone would do this. People are getting more active, and they're seeing the political landscape and the economic landscape of what's to come. And I mean, little by little, I mean, death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, it eventually adds up. And like we said, like you had said with Coke, I used to be a huge Coke drinker. I happened to give it up during Lent, and then after Lent, they came out with their anti-white nonsense, and I was like, well, I've gone this far without drinking Coke, might as well just continue down that path. And so, I mean, it's working. It's a long, slow, arduous process, but like I said, it's a death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, we're all the little guys, and all the little guys start fleeing Amazon, fleeing Walmart, Target, all these leftist companies and businesses. Sooner or later, they're not going to have any growth. Whereas all the new companies that are building things up from the ground up, we have unlimited growth. And so, I mean, it's having a major impact. Exactly.
And what I really like about Covfefe coffee, besides the fact that it tastes great and I love the company, but it's doyoukofefe.com if anyone wants to check it out. What I love is I noticed that there's this fear from companies and from, especially CEOs and people higher up, that they're afraid to get canceled and they're afraid to say something wrong. And I've seen it before where, like, mommy bloggers on Instagram, someone finds out that they gave $10 to Donald Trump and they get run off the platform. What I love about Covfefe is you guys are proud of it. You can't get canceled for it because that's why you're here to begin with, is to tell people you stand by Donald Trump. So there's no fear there of being canceled by the woke mob because it's what you're all about.
Yeah, we don't fear a bunch of leftist baby killers. We fear God. And we are very proud of the stances that we take. And hey, go ahead and ban us. You're just going to give us more customers in the end. And so, I mean, we welcome it. We're on the complete. We like to think of ourselves as a counterbalance. Actually, not a counterbalance. We want to be aggressive. We want to go over the top. We want to make it known that we have the American people's backs. There's no questions about it. And going forward, conservatives for the past 60 years, we've been kind of on our heels, playing defense this whole entire time. Now things are changing. We are taking the offensive, and we're hitting them where it hurts.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Paul, where can people go to get Covfefe? I have the Drain the Swamp medium roast here. I love the packaging, by the way. It's red and blue, very patriotic. But where can people go to check out your coffee?
The only place that you can go to find our coffee is at our website, which is www.doyoukofefe.com, and that's DOYOUCOVFEFE.com. And we do have a special coupon code for Howie's listeners. Use code Howie at checkout for free shipping on 2 bags or more.
Oh, nice. Free shipping on 2 bags or more. Guys, get yourself there. DoYouCofefe.com. It's great coffee. We'll be back on the other side. Thanks, Paul. It's the Grace Curley Show. It's been a long and lonely lockdown, especially for people like me who love to travel out and about. But now that vaccinations and spring are here, why not kick off the travel season and kick back on Southern Airways to beautiful nearby Nantucket Island? From Norwood, New Bedford, Providence, and now Hanscom Airfield, just west of Boston. You'll feel like a rock star and be in Nantucket in less than 40 minutes. Book your Nantucket getaway today at iflysouthern.com. That's iflysouthern.com. Or call 800-329-0485.
Keeps getting better. The Subaru of New England Love Spring event is here. Celebrate in a brand new 2021 Subaru Outback, starting at $26,795 with 0% financing for up to 63 months. Featuring standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, the Outback is your new best friend. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com. Get a great deal on the Outback and go love spring.
And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
Here's 1 minute of President Eric Swalwell.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bold. Welcome to my fellow candidates, whom I consider we are all a part of being the Avengers. The Republicans in 2016, that was the Hunger Games.
And, it's said often that history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, and we heard a lot of rhymes yesterday.
My wife, Brittany, also wants you to know we've got 2 beautiful children, Nelson and Cricket. But the decision to have children was her choice. I'm the only candidate calling for a ban and buyback on every single assault weapon.
Again, we have to have an ankle monitor on this president. This is the worst possible time for a serial.
Live from the Aviva Trattoria studio.
I think we need to have some sort of segment where we do like a then and now, because it's pretty crazy when you look at some of the things that Joe Biden said while Trump was president versus what he's doing now. Remember, okay, now here's a tweet This was March 12th, 2020. Joe Biden tweeted, this was after Trump banned travel from China. A wall will not stop the coronavirus. Maybe I should do it in a whisper if I'm going to be Joe Biden. Banning all travel from Europe or any other part of the world will not stop it. This disease could impact every nation and any person on the planet, and we need a plan to combat it. Fast forward to today. White House official tells CNN that on the advice of the CDC, the Biden administration will restrict travel from India starting May 4th.
Xenophobia. Not to make light of what's happening in India. It's actually really terrible. If you haven't read about it, it is awful.
It is completely awful, and I'm praying for all of the people over there. It's terrible, but I do find it kind of concerning that when Trump was doing this to protect America from this disease, he was called xenophobic, and now Biden is doing it. But again, double standards. Double standards galore. All right, now, you guys know I love Aviva Trattoria. I have my Aviva t-shirt on, Jared, today, which is so comfortable. I love it. And I'm actually going to Aviva Trattoria tonight. That's where I'm going to get my I Survived Joe Biden's First Joint Address to Congress cocktail. I don't know if they have one of those on the menu, but I will create it. I'm so excited to finally go to the restaurant. They have several locations and try out their delicious food in-house. But what we do here is we give away a VIP. Now, before we get the drum roll going and we pick a winner, a lot of people ask me, how do I get this? You can't buy it. It's something you can only win. And what you have to do is go to gracecurleyshow.com, enter your email, and you will be signed up to be in studio to win the Aviva VIP experience. Now, once again, in my Aviva shirt with my lucky Aviva bucket, it is time to pick this week's winner of the Aviva VIP in studio free lunch. Drum roll, please. All right, the winner is... Sorry, I didn't time that drum roll very good. Michael. Michael is the winner. Michael, we will email you today. You will be in next week. We cannot wait to have you. Now, before we get to producers' picks, today's poll question is brought to you by Old New England Soap. Old New England Soap makes the best Woodwick soy candles that burn for up to 100 hours, as well as goat milk soaps, bath bombs, and I just want to say here, I love their candles. They're awesome, and Mother's Day is around the corner, and they offer gift sets for Mother's Day, so you don't have to package it up and figure things out. You can just go to the professionals at Old New England Soap. So go to oldnewenglandsoap.com. That's old spelled OLDE, newenglandsoap.com. Jared, what is the poll question and what are the results thus far?
What should the Bidens name the first cat? Aviator, after Joe's favorite glasses. Chip, after Joe's favorite ice cream. Chocolate chip. Dandelion, or Sergeant?
Chip. I like Chip.
Chip, 18%. Good enough for second place. In first place, a whopping 54% say Dandelion.
You know, I'm overdue for a chocolate chip ice cream and a delicious waffle cone, but I think the Washington Post and other publications, the New York Times, I'm worried about them because I haven't seen an article about Joe's love of ice cream in at least a month.
Well, he's so busy governing that he doesn't have time for ice cream. No joke.
Come on, man. I need my ice cream fix. All right, without further ado, it is time for Producer's Picks.
And now, the feature so many of our listeners wait for each day. Producer's Picks.
Jared Diglio is my producer, and right now he's going to tell us what's on his mind. Take it away, Jared.
All right. Well, we have talked about the lasting repercussions of lockdowns and COVID and everything. And we bring up often that President Trump said that the cure cannot be worse than the disease.
Yes.
The cure is officially worse than the disease.
Why do you say that?
Not just for the massive amounts of businesses and industry that it's destroyed, not the disease itself, poor reaction to the disease, I should say, but mass culture became a thing, and now vaccine culture is becoming a thing, and we are doomed as a society.
What is vaccine culture?
Well, there's a couple stories I've read the past few days. First, BuzzFeed, of course, put out a wonderful little think piece where they interviewed people on how they basically blackmailed family members into getting the vaccine. There were people who said they told their grandparents they wouldn't be able to see their grandchildren if they didn't get vaccinated. One woman actually told her fiancé she would not marry him if he did not get the vaccine. And I just want to say, if you have to bludgeon and bully and blackmail people into doing what you want, you are a horrible human being. And those people would probably, and I know it's tough to say about a grandparent and grandchildren, but they might actually be better off without you in their life if you are going to put those types of restrictions and those types of conditions on family and friends.
Well, especially the girl who's telling her husband or her fiance, I'm not going to marry you. I mean, that seems like a red flag to that guy.
Yeah.
Take it, man. Take that red flag.
And speaking of that, this is from the National File. They posted this, which is, it's a little sad, and I say this a lot. We have a different perspective of everything because we have not been locked down for a year. We have been able to still continue to go to work and lead a relatively normal-ish life. We have not been stuck in our apartments. We have not been isolated. We haven't been that. But there was a woman who could not have her wedding, and you understand this, could not have her wedding because of the pandemic, but she wore the wedding dress to get her vaccine. And I'm never going to judge people for how they handle difficult situations mentally. I'm not judging her. I'm just saying the fact that it got to that level for her
I don't even get it. I don't even.
Is awful. And people like Charlie Baker and Dr. Fauci especially should be ashamed that they drove people to that type of a mental state.
Now, here's, and I'm not overly, I should be more of a practicing Catholic. I should go to church more. I should do a lot of things more than I do. But I am starting to understand now why people think that we do not have enough religion in our culture, because you need to have something to worship that is bigger than this. You can't be putting your hopes and dreams and aspirations and fears into, NBC News or like a vaccine or Dr. Fauci. You need to have something beyond all this because it's sad.
Yes.
Can we circle back to the fiance?
Yes.
Who says, if you don't get the vaccine, I'm not going to marry you? You know what your answer is with that, Jared?
All right, cool. See ya.
Is it a promise or a threat? Sorry, just had to get that in.
But possibly the worst offender comes from the Atlantic, which brought such great journalism as the losers and suckers comment.
Big fans of anonymous sources at the Atlantic.
Yes, well, there is now been decided that Pfizer is the hot person vaccine, which is much cooler than Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson is like the poor people vaccine. I mean, that's...
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up, because Will, who's, in case anyone doesn't know this, he's my fiance, and now everyone's going to say, Grace loves to say the word fiance. She loves bragging that she is a fiance. Oh, my fiance. That our wedding got postponed. I would love nothing more than just to call him my husband and spare you all the incredibly obnoxious word fiance. But alas, Charlie Baker, here we are. So Will is not very political. He doesn't get involved with politics a lot. And this is one thing that drives him crazy. He's like, all this talk about what kind of vaccine did you get? I got Pfizer. I got Moderna. He's like, you never heard this before. Like people shopping around. Ooh, I got this one. It's so much cooler than that one. And I would always be like, yeah, whatever. It's just a new thing. People are just, but that kind of proves his point.
Yeah, Joy Reid, yes, when she was talking about jogging with multiple masks, she said she's on Team Pfizer.
Team Pfizer. We got to stop, guys.
The lamest sports league ever.
You know what? And let's leave religion out of it. Let's just say this. We need hobbies. We need hobbies. That is going to be my platform. If I ever run for anything, I'm going to say we need hobbies.
Yes, like crochet or eating ice cream.
Yeah, I'm not one to judge here because my hobbies include Twitter, so I'm probably not the best
I collect comic books. Like, I'm not in a position to judge other people's hobbies.
No, but that's actually not a bad one. That's like something that's not political, not crazy. You just do something you like, you're passionate about it, and you're not hurting anyone. And it's a good thing. All this focus on these liberal virtue signaling people, and we're like worshiping the ground they walk on. It's messed up, y'all. Learn to crochet like Kamala.
So you're familiar with the curious case of Kelly Donahue?
No, I'm not.
Kelly Donahue is a Winthrop, Massachusetts native, actually, who was the Jeopardy contestant who won 3 times in a row. And when they asked him how many times he won, he flashed the number 3, and he used his middle ring and pinky finger.
And they thought it was the white power symbol.
And they thought that they didn't. Normal people didn't, but the internet and the busybodies and everybody, the Karens and the crazy lefties, thought he made the white power symbol.
By the way,
Jeopardy.
Everybody makes this symbol by accident at some point in their life. It's a very common way to form your fingers.
Yes. A lot of people, and especially in this area, will say, 3. You will throw up it's like an okay, but you turn your fist. It's not a gang sign. It's not a white power sign.
I'm from Milton, and people used to throw up that same symbol for East Milton. You know, if you're from the east side or the west side.
I'm from Lynn. I never threw up any signs. I didn't know who was where. But Kelly Donahue, after all this backlash, had to go to his Facebook and actually post this. I just wanted to clear something up about my recent appearances on Jeopardy, the greatest game show of all time. Competing on Jeopardy was a thrill of a lifetime, and being a returning champion is something I'll never forget. Many of the great champions of old had a little signature hello they would do on screen when being introduced by Johnny Gilbert. I decided to count my victories. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3.
Stop.
No more, no less. There wasn't a hidden agenda or any malice behind it. Had I managed to repeat as champion, you would have been treated to a 4. Instead, we have a new returning champion, and I don't think I could have beaten her even if I had known Vancouver. She was great in Double Jeopardy. Congratulations, Dana. Good luck. The fact that he had to apologize.
Never
for
apologize. Everyone stop saying you're sorry, okay? Everyone. I don't want any more sorries, because guess what? They don't mean anything anymore.
I don't like your white power tone of voice there, Grace.
It's like saying crowd in a Wolf theater. Nothing means anything. Say you're sorry when you're actually sorry. You're not sorry for that. You didn't do anything wrong. Gosh, this country needs a backbone. We are getting softer by the day. Makes me sick.
And congratulations, Boston University seniors. Your commencement speaker this year will be?
AOC.
Close. Ayanna Pressley, Massachusetts representative. So enjoy the lecture on your privilege.
I wanted to actually say, beyond the coronavirus stuff, which is another reason that I'm very happy I'm not in school, and I do feel so badly for all those people who are missing graduations and proms and all that stuff. But just with the current climate, with these schools, with teachers and the critical race theory, I'm so happy that I am no longer sitting in a classroom. I don't think I'd be getting in fights with people. And my teachers, I mean, some might disagree. I might be fact-checked on this. But I got along really well with my teachers. I had teachers in high school and in college who I really, really enjoyed. I was a fairly good student. But it was just a different time. Like, you could argue with people. You could talk about things. Now I would be ostracized. I don't know. I'm just happy that I'm out. All right, guys, when we get back, we're talking to Howard Lawrence Carr about what he has planned for his Friday show. We're going to get his take on Craig Melvin's hard-hitting interview with Joe Biden. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's Friday, and it's the Grace Curley Show.
She's never held office, but she paid the whiskey priest's monthly rent once. She's Grace Curley.
This hour of the Grace Curley Show is brought to you by Fun Spot in Laconia, New Hampshire. Over 60,000 square feet of fun. Open every day. That's funspotnh.com. All moms love turtles, especially when they're Phillips chocolate turtles. Made with rich, smooth caramel, hand-roasted pecans, cashews, or almonds, then topped with a generous dollop of mouth-watering milk or dark chocolate. A tried and true Mother's Day tradition since 1925, and now you can order Phillips chocolate online just in time for Mother's Day. Go to phillipschocolate.com. Use code GRACE and receive 10% off, or visit the store at 818 Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester. Go to phillipschocolate.com and use code GRACE.
This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. If you're looking to get your gun license, we've added tons of LTC classes, including ladies only and couples classes. Plus, visit us any Tuesday for free gun rentals on the range. Don't forget to listen to Rapid Fire every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on WXDK or on the iHeartRadio app. We'll be talking everything guns, freedom, and self-defense, sponsored by Vortex Optics. So go to CapeGunworks.com and check it out.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
I may not make it through this story, and I told a story about a fisherman that I met in New Bedford. He's coming off the boat. He was a big, huge man, completely soaked in sweat and salt water.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power, and the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
And he started to cry, and I gave him a hug. He was a big, huge guy. It was like hugging a mountain. And then he said, "See those two kids up there?" And he said, "Those are my sons." They were both spectacular football players at New Bedford High School who were given college scholarships, and I ruined their lives. And you hear those kinds of stories every day.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
You guys have heard me talk about Super Beets for a while, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, Grace, why Super Beets? You can take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I feel so much better right when I take one. I feel energized and ready to take on the day. And in the afternoon when I start to hit a slump, boom, I take a Super Beet and I'm refreshed and ready to go. If that doesn't convince you, can we talk about the science behind Super Beets? Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and supports healthy blood pressure. And the science team behind Super Beets has conducted 11 clinical trials and was even given the Science Award by the Nutrition Business Journal. Go to www.superbeetsradio.com to find out more about Super Beets. Also, did I mention they taste really good too? That's www.superbeetsradio.com. www.superbeetsradio.com.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
Follow Grace on Twitter at @G_Curly.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Grace Curley Show. There's a fabulous piece out right now, and it's titled, "In a Kerry versus Giuliani Smackdown, the mayor knocks out live shot." I was actually able to secure this guest for the show. The writer of this is named Howie Carr, and he's joining us now.
Thank you, Grace. I enjoyed writing that piece. As you know, Whenever you mention the name John Forbes Live Shot Kerry, the phone lines light up. The clicks accumulate in the thousands and tens of thousands. People just can't get enough of dumping on John Kerry, and I certainly include myself in that category.
Yeah, I have a feeling when you were writing this, it's like when you write about the hacks on Beacon Hill, where you start laughing as you're typing to yourself.
Yeah, I really liked, again, going back to the 2 letters that he wrote to the constituent in Newton in 1991. Dear Mr. Carter, I share your opposition to this terrible war. 9 days later. Dear Mr. Carter, I'm with you 100%. We've got to do something about these terrible, terrible people over there.
It's just absolutely crazy. And how you point out the double standard here with Rudy Giuliani, and it's really incredible. Tell people a little bit about that.
Well, the thing is, Rudy Giuliani, they're going after him for apparently for the Foreign Agent Registration Act, FARA Act. And again, that's what they used during the Russian collusion hoax to go after some of the Trump people. But at the same time, the Podesta brothers had made millions of dollars as unregistered foreign lobbyists, and they just gave them a total pass on it. I mean, one of the guys at Powerline Blog today said, prosecuting a FARA Act violation is the last refuge of a scoundrel, and that's really the old Samuel Johnson line. But it's true, and it's just and the other thing too is, they're going in there, they're looking for these electronic devices. So Rudy says to them, well, you're looking for electronic devices with crimes on them. Why don't you take the Hunter Biden laptop with you too? And they refused. They refused. I'm not sure he was correct what he told Tucker Carlson last night, that, they had to take it with them. But, I mean, it really is ironic, isn't it, considering all the stuff that was on the Hunter Biden. I mean, there's all kinds of crimes. I don't even want to go into the level of crime that's chronicled on Hunter Biden's laptop. And the FBI had no interest whatsoever in it.
And I think a piece like this, they're always successful because you explain the hypocrisy, but you also put your own spin on it. And then people read it and they go, that's exactly how I feel. If you guys want to check that out, you can find it at HowieCarrshow.com and at the Boston Herald. I'll be back next week for more fun. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't miss Howie's show. It's coming up next.
It's a new year and time for a new you. DiStefano Hair Restoration changed my life, and they can change yours too. My production director said when he saw a recent pic of me that, you look great, like Benjamin Button. You're getting younger. That's quite the compliment, and I owe it to DiStefano Hair Restoration and Dr. Chris Hines. Many wait years before they get the hair restoration they deserve. Stop waiting and just get it done. You won't regret it, and you'll ask yourself, why did you wait so long? You can see my before and